All right, let's start off by saying Barakateyawa, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Rucha Kodash. Welcome to another live lesson. The name of this one is LambBack, off of the correct meaning of Joel 2 and 20. And I just wanted to, just say a few words on that, because as you know already, through the video that Elder Apostle Tahar did and other video that Elder Apostle Gabar did, pretty much Bishop Nathaniel, General Nathaniel Alaga, once again is going off big time. And I just want to kind of, chime in, say a few words on it. The apostle already broke it down. But I just wanted to just kind of, like I said, land back off of that. And as in the video that Elder Apostle Hart went into, he went through the maps, showed you, broke it down for you, proved to you, that the bishop was going off. Bishop Nathaniel, Bishop Nathaniel, whatever he calls himself nowadays. And one thing that Elder Apostle Gabar mentioned in his lesson, which stuck with me, is that this is what happens when pretty much you throw the name of the Most High and Yahushai out, of your organization. Pretty much you're subject, I'm just merely paraphrasing, you're pretty much subject to them spirits out there, them spirits out there, you opened up to a spirit, the actual right breakdowns of the scriptures, because the scriptures speak about having your foundation short. There's no other foundation that men can lay but than that which is laid, which is Yahushai. Once you take out the Most High and Yahushai out of the equation, and you start inserting Jesus and Christ and God and all that, and Most High and all of that, even though that's one of the Most High's titles, you start to degenerate. You start to lose the actual breakdowns, and you start to, be open up to a reprobate mind, and this is why this is happening. So I suggest you brothers and few sisters out there that didn't watch this video, the correct meaning of Joel 2 and 20, watch that, and also watch another one that the Elder Apostle Tahar did, which was pretty much, it was, just bear with me 1 second. It was 19 minutes and 10 seconds long. It says, and will drive him into a land barren and desolate. And that said a whole lot, especially, both of the videos. And then, he came back, the Apostle Tahar came back on the second video and even went into it even further. And if you can't get it after that, then that means the spirit is not working with you. It's just not meant for you to get it. So what we're going to do is read this. I was walking early this morning with the elder Damashipat, and I had asked him a question about a particular article of clothing from the military, which Lord's will, I'm going to get into that in this lesson. All right. Now, this is the book of Joel, chapter 2 and 20. It says, but I will remove far off from you the northern army, and will drive him into a land barren and desolate, with his face towards the east sea, and his hinder part toward the utmost sea. And his stink shall come up, and his ill savor shall come up, because he hath done great things. So now let's go back. It says, but I will remove far off from you the northern army. Who is the northern army in this chapter and verse? That northern army is the American army. And they would be sent where? And will drive him into a land barren and desolate. So the American army was sent over to a land that was barren and desolate during something that came, I believe the first name that it came under was Desert Storm. Okay? I believe it was Desert Storm. No, I'm sorry. It was let me see. Desert Shield. It was first named Desert Shield, and then it became Desert Storm. I believe once the actual fighting commenced, it became Desert Storm. But before that, I believe it was called Desert Shield. Let me just fact check that real quick. It says Desert Shield and Desert Storm. It says the war consisted of two phases. The first was codenamed Operation Desert Shield, 2nd of August 1990 through 17th of January 1991, for operation leading to the buildup of troops and defense of Saudi Arabia. And the second was Operation Desert Storm, 17 January 1991 through 28 February 1991, was the combat phase, okay? And there was a particular thing that took place in this war. And prior to that, you know, the American military, their battle fatigues, which is called the BDU, battle dress uniform, was that camouflage, you know, the green with the brown and black in it, you know, and beige, and, you know, like it had different colors in it that you would wear, right? And then when you were in the jungle setting, like when they went to Vietnam, so on and so forth, when you were in a jungle setting, you couldn't really pick anyone out, especially when they had the paint on their face. Those were the uniforms that they normally wore. But when they went to this particular war in the Middle East, over there in Iraq, right, they started to wear what was known as the Desert BDUs, or the Desert Battle Dress uniforms. All right, and those Desert Battle Dress uniforms were also known by the nickname of chocolate chip or cookie dough camouflage patterns. So if you type in, let me go back here. If you type in hashtag Desert Storm 30, right, and then you put in one word, hashtag Desert Storm 30, then you put in right after that chocolate chip cookie uniforms, this particular website is going to come up, which is newsvirginia.gov, newsvirginia.gov. And in here, it gives you a history of the desert, you know, battle dress uniform, or the desert camouflage, right? It says though it was first designed in 1962, finalized in 1976, and then standardized in 1990, the Desert Battle Dress Uniform, DBDU, affectionately known for its chocolate chip or cookie dough camouflage patterns, defined the U.S. military era known for a single event, Operation Desert Storm, because they were going into a desert to fight this war. And that was the beginning stages and setup of bringing the Northern Army over to that side of the world. And there's no coincidence that they haven't left that side of the world yet. And all of these other nations are going to be going down into that area. All right? And it says that brief conflict and its decisive victory grabbed our nation's attention 30 years ago this month. America watched the Persian Gulf War from thousands of miles away in nearly real time on a burgeoning 24-hour news cycle. It watched as reporters spoke from Baghdad rooftops, describing an eerily silent capital in the minutes before Patriot and Scud missiles first lit up the night sky. All right, so there was no coincidence that they were, when they went there, they didn't go into regular, camouflage, regular green camouflage, because they had to be able to camouflage like the desert. That's why they wore those desert BDUs, or desert battle dress uniforms, or camouflage, because they would be brought into a land barren and desolate. So I looked up the word barren, and the word for barren is the word tazayah. Tazayah. Dryness, drought, desert. Okay? Then down here it says barren, drought, dry land, place, solitary place, wilderness. So this was where? In the land known as Saudi Arabia. And in the video that the Elder Pastor Tahar did, the second one, the 19-minute and 10-second one, he showed you a map. And he showed you in the land of Israel, in those regions in there, where you still have a lot of greenery, you still have a lot of homes and houses and different things of that nature. You have forests, you know, but when you go into further to the east and you go into Arabia, that's nothing but desert. That is where the final battle will be fought at, because the Lord, pursuant to Isaiah 34, he's gathering all nations and their armies in that area. It's impossible for all the armies of the nations of the world to fit in that. What was that? I believe the pastor said it was no more than 40 miles from the Dead Sea to the Mediterranean Sea. It's impossible to fit all of the nations' militaries in there. You know, it makes more sense that they would be in an area that was a lot larger. All right. So the first word was barren, which is the actual desert, and the second one is desolate, which is shamama, and shamama means devastation, waste, desolation. Yeah, because it's a barren wasteland, as they say. You know, there's nothing there. All right, and that is the place where the Lord said that He would gather, you know, the Northern Army too. And it's no coincidence that when America in 1990 went over to that side of the world in Iraq, they had what was known as the Desert BDUs, or the Desert Battle Dress Uniforms, which was the uniforms of the desert, or the camouflage of the desert that they would use, because they would be in a desert setting according to the prophecy of the scriptures. So I'll read that again, Joel 2:20. It says, but I will remove far off from you the Northern Army, because from America all the way to Iraq, that's a long distance. It says, and will drive them into a land barren and desolate. You're talking about now Saudi Arabia, which is mostly is all desert, the majority of it. It says, with his face toward the East Sea. Now the East Sea happens to be the Euphrates River, and you also have the Persian Gulf, all in that area. That's all the East Sea. And the Euphrates River plays a big part in end time prophecy. You know, for that, you know, you can go to, let's pull up another scripture. There's a few of them, but only one comes to mind right now, and that would be Revelation. I believe that's Revelation, the 9th chapter. There's a few of them, but let's go to Revelation chapter 9, and let's go to the 13th verse. And the sixth angel sounded, and I heard a voice from the four horns of the golden altar, which is before the Most High, saying to the sixth angel, which had the trumpet, loose the four angels which are bound in the great river Euphrates. You see? Why? Because that the river Euphrates, it's no coincidence that the Lord allowed the name Euphrates to stay named Euphrates according to the Bible, according to what the Lord had already named it in the scriptures. Everything else they changed. You know, they changed the Tigris River, they changed the different rivers. But one of the rivers that did not change its name was the Euphrates River. Why? Because it would play a very important part in end time prophecy. You know, and that would be the area where the Lord would bring forth those militaries and armies to fight this final battle. And it makes sense that the Lord would bring everything full circle, because in that area of the world, that's where the earth was first repopulated by Noah's three sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. And it would make sense that that would be the very ending of so-called, you know, the world, the heathen empires of the world, and the beginning start of Yahushai / Yasha Allah's kingdom. All right, it makes perfect sense. It says, and the four angels were loose, which were prepared for an hour and a day and a month and a year for to slay the third part of men. The third part of men represents Esau, because Esau is the one that's in control and in power today. All right, so when we go back to Joel chapter 2, right, it says, with his face toward the East Sea, that's dealing with the Euphrates River, You can tie the Persian Gulf into that because that's all a part. That's all in the east, and it's all right along the lines of so-called Saudi Arabia in that area, in that region, right? It says in his hinder part, which means his rear part, towards the utmost sea. Now, what is the utmost sea? That's talking about the Red Sea. All right, the Red Sea is what's behind, these troops. That's the main sea it's talking about. It's not talking about the Mediterranean. All right, because the Red Sea compasses all of the land of Saudi Arabia, and this is also pursuant to Scripture. When we go to Genesis, the second chapter, right? Genesis, the second chapter, and when it speaks about the Garden of Eden, it speaks about the four heads. It speaks about the very first head, which is Genesis 2:11. It says the name of the first is Pison, which the Pison or Payashawan in the Hebrew is the Red Sea. All right, that is it, which compasseth the whole land of Havilah. Now, what is the whole land of Havilah? The whole land of Havilah is what you would know today as so-called Arabia. All right, Havilah is from the Hebrew word chawayalah, right? Chawayalah, and it just says circle. It says a part of Eden, though, through which flowed the river Pison, Araxi. No, that's not what that is. Was probably the Grecian note in the northeast corner of Asia Minor note, near the note. A district in Arabia. There we go. A district in Arabia of the Ishmaelites, named from the second son of Cush, probably the district of Kualan in the northwestern part of Yemen. So really, the land of Havilah is the land of Saudi Arabia, because when you look at a map of the Red Sea, you see that the Red Sea actually compasses the whole land, of Saudi Arabia. All right, let me see if I could put up a Red Sea, Red Sea Arabia map. Let's see what comes up. And you could do this yourself, and you could look at, and you could see, if you could see it. Matter of fact, let me see if I could just let you see it real quick. You might not be able to see it that well. Let me open this up some more. See if I could do it this way. That blue you see there with the red in the center of it, that's the Red Sea. And to the right of that, or to the east of that, is the whole land of Saudi Arabia. All right, that's where, the land of Havilah is. All right. So going back to Joel 2:20, it says, and is with his face toward the east sea and his hinder part toward the utmost sea being the Red Sea, and his stink shall come up. Why? Because there's going to be a lot of dead bodies of these soldiers all over the place. And that's going to be the very first job of the international banking families. One group will be ahead, putting markers for the dead, and the next ones will come up and they will be digging graves and burying those dead people, those dead soldiers, and whoever else is dead. And his ill savor shall come up because he have done great things. Yeah, this is the Lord, about to smash, these devils. Now, I also wanted to say a few words on the book of Jeremiah 49:22, which, once again, Bishop Nate broke down completely and totally wrong. And that was never taught at the main school. I don't know where the hell he pulled that breakdown from, but that was never taught at the main school. I don't know if he went to a commentary and they gave him that madness and he just ran with it because, his foundation is not secure, because it's not secure in the names of Yahweh and Yahushai. So Jeremiah 49, I'm going to read the 22nd verse, and I will probably jump up a little bit before that, but then we're going to get into it. So Jeremiah 49:22, it says, behold, he shall come up and fly as the eagle. Now he's saying that this eagle represents Esau, and it doesn't. There are times when the eagle does represent Esau, such as Deuteronomy 8 and 49. The book of Hosea, chapter 8 and 1, I believe it is, and a few others. You know, Obadiah, the first chapter. But this one here, this eagle here is not talking about Esau. This eagle here is talking about Yahushai. It says, behold, he shall come up and fly as the eagle and spread his wings over Bozrah. Bozrah was one of the major cities of Edom. All right. And at that day shall the heart of the mighty men of Edom be as the heart of a woman in her pangs. All right. So what we're going to do is prove that that eagle is dealing with Yahushai. So the first precept we're going to go to is in, let me just bear with me 1 second. First precept we're going to go to, just bear with me 1 second. Let's see, just had a precept that came to mind, and as I was moving stuff around, it kind of escaped me for the moment. So just bear with me real quick, see if the Spirit will give it back to me. I'll read this again. Isaiah 63 and 1. Let's go there real quick. Isaiah 63 and 1. Who is this that cometh from Edom with dyed garments from Bozrah? So when Yahushua comes back, he's coming to visit Edom. So this is that eagle. Yahushua represents that eagle. All right? That's coming back to destroy these devils. It says, this that is glorious in his apparel, traveling in the greatness of the strength, I that speak in righteousness, mighty to save. Because when we go to Deuteronomy, the 33rd chapter, this was Yahushua in that great chariot that was leading our forefathers through the wilderness. It was that great chariot of Yahushua that interceded and came between the camp of Israel and the Egyptian army. Same chariot that led our forefathers through the wilderness those 40 years. All right, so Deuteronomy 33 and 1, and this is the blessing wherewith Moses, the man of the Most High, blessed the children of Israel before his death. And he said, the Lord came from Sinai and rose up from Seir unto them. He shined forth from Mount Paran, and he came with 10,000 of saints. From his right hand went a fiery law for them. So Yahushua was actually there, at that time. And when the Lord comes back, Seir today represents America. Basra, Seir, it represents America today. So he's coming to the headquarters of Esau's kingdom when he comes back to take them down. And all across the world, wherever they're at, their armies and militaries, he's going to take them all out. All right? Now, let's go from there. Let's go to the link up. Let's go to the book of Habakkuk, chapter 3. And we're going to go to verse 2. The point is in verse 3. Habakkuk 3 and 2. O Lord, I have heard thy speech and was afraid. O Lord, revive thy work in the midst of the years. In the midst of the years, make known in wrath, remember mercy. Because the prophet Habakkuk was praying to the Lord that first and foremost, the Lord bring to pass his prophecies, and second of all, when these things start to happen, when they start moving, to have mercy upon him. And we feel the same way. So it says, the Most High came from Teman, and the Holy One from Mount Paran. Salah, his glory covered the heavens, and the earth was full of his praise. So back then, when Yahushua was leading the Israelites out of Egypt, that chariot was there, and the earth at the time was full of his praise, because they all knew that the Lord delivered us from the land of Egypt. And that was a talk among the nations. That's why they were afraid, when the Lord, was going to have, when Israel was going through those different lands, they didn't want nothing to do with our forefathers, because they knew the great things that the Lord had done for us, and they were nervous, they were scared. All right, so they didn't want that. So this was actually Yahushua that was doing this. Now, when we go to Exodus, right, the 19th chapter, And I'll start at verse 1. The point is in 4. It says, in the third month, when the children of Israel were gone forth out of the land of Egypt, the same day came they into the wilderness of Sinai. For they were departed from Rephidim, and were come to the desert of Sinai, and had pitched in the wilderness, and there Israel camped before the mount. And Moses went up unto the Most High, and Yahweh called unto him out of the mountain, saying, thus shalt thou say to the house of Jacob, and tell the children of Israel, you have seen what I did unto the Egyptians, and how I bare you on eagle's wings, and brought you unto myself. So that was dealing with that great deliverance that happened from the land of Egypt. The Lord compared it to what? To a swift deliverance, like if you was flying on an eagle, on eagle's wings. Because that's exactly what it was. But it was the chariot of Yahushua leading the Israelites out of Egypt. All right? Now, when we go to 1 Corinthians chapter 10 and 1, it says, moreover, brethren, I would not that you should be ignorant, how that all our fathers were under the cloud, and all passed through the sea. This is going back during the time of the deliverance from the land of Egypt. And were all baptized unto Moses in the cloud and in the sea. All right? Because the Lord delivered our forefathers, and that is what cemented his, union, so to speak, with us. It says, and did all eat the same spiritual meat, and did all drink the same spiritual drink. For they drank of the spiritual rock that followed them, and that rock was Yahushua. So Yahushua was the one that delivered us as eagles on his wings. It was a swift deliverance. Yahushua was there. So this proves that when Yahushua comes back, he's the first people he's coming to deal with are the Edomites. So this is why he is known as the eagle. So when we go back to Jeremiah 49:22, behold, he shall come up and fly as the eagle. This is dealing with Yahushua, and spread his wings over Basra. And at that day shall the heart of the mighty men of Edom be as the heart of a woman in her pangs, because Yahushua is coming back to take his throne. This is why he's known as the King of Kings and Lord of Lords. All right, so he is that eagle. And the Mayan, Incas, different other tribes, called Yahushua by different names. Some of them call him Quetzalcoatl. Some of them call him Kulkulkan, which was the feathered serpent. All right? Because Yahushua is that eagle. He is that deliverer. All right? And he's the one that's going to come back and deliver the nation of Israel from the hands of Esau. All right? So I just wanted to say a few words and LambBack off of the video that the Elder Apostle Har and the Elder Apostle Gabar did. So I pray and hope and pray that this was edifying. Until the next time I say Shalom.